And here is a crucial general skill that everyone needs to use to outplay in a skill matchup. Run back and forth like this. Not like this. It's what fighters do to keep the opponent guessing, not knowing whether you're about to attack or not, but constantly threatening it.
Feint your opponent into doing what you want him to do. You want to bring him in. You know he wants to be aggressive, so invite him in. Open the door and give a little feint like you're coming in, and then pull out. Let him think you changed your mind. Like, pull it out and draw him in. Draw him in, bam, bam! And you draw him right in to the spider's web.
I'm about to show you how easy it is to destroy ranged champions using melee. Having range is like having an extra ability, so the ranged champions will always be stronger level 1, which is why I ambushed this Singed and chase him down with range. He just failed the first rule, which is never take damage level 1 against range, because now I will never let him come close to the minions with this health disadvantage. And I do this by positioning aggressively to deny him from even the experience range of the dying minions. And when he tries to get to experience range using the bush to hide, it's an easy first blood. All because he didn't avoid me level 1. Against this Nasus, I didn't save my ward, so he's able to hide in the bush. I don't want to walk in there because he can fight me back in melee range alongside his minions. So I'll just wait to poke him every time he comes close to last hit a minion. He goes for another last hit even though I'm level 2 and I'm positioning aggressively. So this time he pays for it because I can just chase him down with range attacks. Now I can bully him under his tower, and when he's low enough, I can go for the kill next time he gets too close. He lost the lane because he went for a last hit at level 1 when I was obviously playing aggressive and had level 2. Here's another range advantage. As long as I stay inside my wave, I can poke from range and avoid minion aggro. But if the melee champion wants to attack me, they'll have to dive into my wave and tank the minion damage along with mine, which is simply too much in the early levels. Now for a harder matchup. This Renekton wants the passive golden experience for this minion, so I position aggressively to punish. The correct play would have been to get in the bush and move back and forth, so at most I could only get one attack. And then once again, I know he will come close to get experience for this, so I line up my attack. This minion doesn't die, so he comes again and takes 3 attacks including true damage from the Kraken Slayer rune, which procs on every 3rd basic attack. This is a great rune for Lucian because his passive gives double basic attack after using an ability. I reset the minion aggro and then go back to positioning aggressively so I can punish him for attacking minions. This is where these matchups are lost, when the melee champ tries to attack the minions instead of just staying out of range. He takes his honey fruit, but I don't, just so I can keep applying pressure. Here he makes a decent move, he dashes in, spins for damage and heal, and backs away. This is something I always do at level 2 to last hit, heal and damage all at the same time. But now he has no dash for 17 seconds, so I can just poke without worrying about return damage. I make a mistake here and overextend to poke, and he stuns me under his tower. I realized my mistake early and I exhaust just in time to reduce a lot of his damage, and then I chase him down with range. Here I know his next move, and knowing this, I line up my skill 1 at the right time. The only reason this was close was because I hadn't taken my honey fruit, and also I took 2 tower shots. He lost the lane because he couldn't give up a few minions until his power spike at level 3, which I will show you when I play Renekton later on. This guy picked Fizz into my Lucian thinking he knows how to beat me, and he actually plays okay. He avoids poke and uses the bush to get into experience and passive gold range. Now I can't walk in because I lose in melee range next to his minions. But then he makes the mistake of leaving the bush and goes to ward. Warding this early isn't terribly important when the lane is pushing into your tower. And now I get control over that bush, forcing him to take the more exposed way to get to the experience range of the dying minions. He takes the bait and pays for it big time. Now I try giving him the bush, but he doesn't take the bait this time. He does well to not take more poke, but because of his health disadvantage, I can deny him all the golden experience during the slow push. Here I know he wants to come for this experience, so I move early and poke him for it. Now I'm so far ahead in health and levels that I can trade tower hits to poke him. When I hit level 5, he doesn't realize in time and gets too close. Again, it was only close because I didn't take my plant and also took 4 tower shots. Another lane won at level 1 because he couldn't give up a minion and tried to get in experience range when I was clearly positioned to punish. He needed to not give up this bush. So we learned that range champions cannot be messed with level 1 and 2. Definitely not level 1. If the range champion is played perfectly, they will punish you hard for ever trying to attack a single minion. And from this early health lead, they end up being stronger even during the melee champion's power spike, which is usually level 3. Against an aggressive range player, the most you should do is get to experience range of the dying minion. Utilize the bush for this if you have to, and just wait until your power spike to fight back. Until then, the range champion will be pushing the lane. This is something you need to know beforehand and communicate with your jungler so he plans a gank for you. Because range champions are ridiculously weak against ganks because of their weaker defensive stats. A single gank will win you the lane, even if it doesn't get a kill. All it needs to do is deal some damage and the range champion's entire game plan falls apart. Because if they are not ahead early, they cannot bully you after level 3. Now I'll show you what happens when you do not take damage at level 1. I'm playing Renekton into Draven. This is a matchup I will never win at level 1. So look at how I constantly position just out of his attack range. The only reason I can last hit is because I get these tiny windows to walk up because he has to walk back to catch his axe. And then I get out of range. I attack minions whenever he gives me a chance, which is nice because Renekton's passive, his Fury bar, only builds when Renekton attacks something. But even if I didn't get most of these last hits, I wouldn't be worried because the most important thing is to save my health until I'm strong enough to fight back. And at level 2 here, I do that same trade that I showed before. Dash in, used my charged Fury for the empowered spin for the damage and heal, and dash back out. If Renekton has 50% Fury, his next skill uses that Fury for an empowered ability. The empowered spin gives extra damage and heal, which is perfect for this short trade. Now I'm level 3 and this is my real power spike, and because I saved my health, I can easily fight him. Unlike the Renekton I was against earlier, who was too low to fight me at level 3, even after me taking tower shots. So I dash through the minions to activate the second dash, use the empowered stun which does a lot more damage than the empowered spin, then spin for damage and heal, one more basic attack, and then I walk forward a bit in order to dash back through him for the dash damage. I could have second dashed behind him for the kill, but he still has exhaust and I didn't know where his jungler was. But it doesn't matter because this extra cannon means I can now freeze the wave here to deny him all the minions. And I'll kill him if he overextends for them, which he does. I'll wait until he comes to attack and then dash onto him and keep chasing. He uses everything and flashes to his tower, and again I decide not to take the risk, but he then tries to attack me during my retreat, and as soon as he steps out of his tower, I flash back onto him. So I easily won this lane because I saved my health. The minion last hits were kind of irrelevant to winning the lane because I never got to spend that gold anyway, but the health I saved I did get to use, and at the right time, during my level 3 power spike. When the health bars are equal, the melee champion will always beat the range champion in a fair fight. Here I picked Renekton into Seraphine because I know how to play these matchups. Again, I try my best to stay out of her damage range, but I test her to see how aggressive she is by walking up for the last hits. She was playing quite safe to begin with, but then starts to position aggressively to zone me away from last hits. I didn't get the message in time and take a little too much damage for trying to last hit, but it's not too bad. I'm still healthy enough to fight at level 3. At level 2, I go for that same play. It's not as strong this time because she never let me build my Fury, so the heal and damage from the spin is lower. But it was actually important I did that because of these 3 things. They're supposed to look like bones, I guess, because that's the bone plating rune, which is the defense rune. It blocks some damage from the next 3 attacks after taking damage. So if I was to keep chasing her, my damage would have been significantly reduced. So good thing I backed off. It also means that it's now on cooldown, so my level 3 combo will deal full damage. Now I just have to wait for it. She uses her abilities and backs off, and I need to catch her before she can retreat to cool down her abilities. I dash through the minions, stun, spin and retreat. If there's enough space, it's important to get a basic attack in between each ability to maximize damage. Now, if she stays in lane, I can kill her with Ignite when my combo comes back up. So she's desperate to crash the wave into the tower, otherwise I deny her everything from the freeze. She takes too long and my combo is back up. This was the freest kill ever, but I mess up my flash. All I needed to do was flash next to her and dash for the damage and basic attack. But anyway, the point is, I avoided taking too much damage before level 3 and then easily won the lane by fighting at my power spike. The reason why these level 3 fights are always won by the melee champ is because the range champions have weaker defensive stats to make up for the range advantage. So they will always lose a fair fight. But before level 3, the melee champion just doesn't have enough skills to get into range to fight and then get back out of range without being chased down with range. Because like I explained earlier, having range attacks is like an ability on its own. And then they have a standard ability on top. So at level 1, it's 2 abilities against 1. The melee champion's tanky stats get stronger each level. So at level 3, the melee champion has much more tankiness plus 3 abilities against the range champion's 3 abilities plus range. This is a lot more fair of a fight than at level 1 where it's 2 abilities against 1. What if you're against a melee champion that doesn't have a level 3 power spike? Or doesn't have any dashes in his kit, like Garen? Well, then you're gonna have to actually position much more carefully and outplay them. And here's how. Every champion has their own strengths and weaknesses, and you need to play around them. Garen has move speed and passive healing, so I make use of the move speed at the right time to trade, and then heal to make up for the bad trades. I charge my Grasp Rune by attacking minions. Lucian expects me to play passive, but instead I trade with him using Grasp Silence and run away with move speed. It looks like a terrible trade, but remember, I have passive healing from the second Wind Rune and from my passive. Then I stay behind my minions, so if he ever pokes me here, he takes return minion damage. And here is a crucial general skill that everyone needs to use to outplay in a skill matchup. Run back and forth like this. Not like this. It's what fighters do to keep the opponent guessing, not knowing whether you're about to attack or not, but constantly threatening it.
Feint your opponent into doing what you want him to do. You want to bring him in. You know he wants to be aggressive, so invite him in. Open the door and give a little feint like you're coming in, and then pull out. Let him think you changed your mind. Like, pull it out and draw him in. Draw him in, bam, bam! And you draw him right in to the spider's web.
So now when I move like this, he doesn't know for a fact if I'm going to attack him or not every time I move towards him. He guesses wrong and tries to basic attack me. I catch him mid-attack animation and chase him with spin using the silence move speed. So he's forced to exhaust and flash because I would have used my silence grasp damage after the spin with ignite for the kill. He survives, but his lane is completely lost because he pushed the wave but lost the battle, which means I now get to freeze it here forcing him to overextend without flash and exhaust. The lane was already over, but I had a good jungler who saw the frozen wave state and skipped his blue buff for the freest gank ever. Garen versus Teemo. Another lane I'm supposed to lose that I must outplay to stand a chance. I start off again with another terrible level 1 trade to make things worse. But again, I use the same tactic. Charge grasp by attacking minions, surprise attack, and run away with movement speed. Again, I have healing, so it's not as bad as it looks. I stay behind my minions, so if he pokes me here, he takes some return damage. And again, because of my back and forth movement, he doesn't expect this aggression and eats another massive grasp silence attack. And again, he doesn't expect my unpredictable movement. This would have been a kill, but his blind came back up at the perfect time. I then panic flashed because I thought the tower was going for me, but it's fine, I still have my honey fruit. The Teemo still doesn't learn the lesson. He thinks he can block my silence with his blind. So I activate the silence only for the movement speed, but instead I spin first until his blind wears off, and then I use the silence damage for the execute. I could only make these outplays because the range champion knows he has to get a health advantage early, but I stay in my minions for the extra minion damage, and then using the back and forth movement, I trick them into thinking I won't attack. So when I do attack, they don't react in time. Using a minion for damage is another powerful tool. Remember, the range champion has weak defenses, so they will get absolutely shredded by the minions. So as long as you're behind them, they can't poke you for free. But if you still don't win the lane versus range, there's some good news. You actually don't even need to. Your team comp will most likely be much stronger at team fighting because your lane opponent ruined their team comp by playing a weak squishy champions. This means that they'll get blown up in a team fight if your team gets a good engage. So just keep that in mind and chill, because you actually win the lane by simply not feeding. So don't try forcing a play in lane when it's not there. Just know that your team is getting stronger by you simply just standing there and not dying. But winning the lane actually isn't hard. Just follow these steps. The most important rule is save your health as much as possible and just let them push into your tower. The wave pushing into you means the enemy minions will barely die, so you won't lose too much. It's more important for you to save health than it is to get a few extra minions. Only try to sneak in last hits if they let you. Dance back and forth at the edge of their range to test their aggressiveness and to bait out their abilities. Otherwise, just stay out of their basic attack range. Stay behind your range minions because if they come to attack you here, they're overextended and will take minion damage. This is good for you because the lower health they are, the easier it is to go for the kill when you do fight at level 3 during your power spike. As soon as you hit level 3, wait for them to come too close, or ideally after you bait out one of their abilities, and then engage if they stay close enough after that. You can easily bait them into poking you and then engage. Until that point, if your jungler is on your side, spam ping him for ganks. In fact, tell your jungler at the start of the game that it's a free gank because they will push. Just one gank and the range champions will be useless. If you're playing one of the few champs that doesn't have a level 3 power spike, then at least know your champion's strengths and play around that. Stay behind your minions, move back and forth to bait them into attacking you at the wrong time and place, and then time your engages correctly. Support my channel by turning on the notifications. The bigger this channel gets, the more time I will spend making videos. So thank you for watching and good luck.